So, Hare Krishna, good morning. We will discuss today Canto 1, Chapter 1, Questions of the Sages, text 18 to 23. First, we start with text 18, which is on the board. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Atakyahi Hari Diman Avatara Kata Subha Lila Vidatata Svaram Ishvarasyat Mamayaya. O wise Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Sanakyan Sakshan Vitam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namah Chitchaitanyamanovistam Staptam Yena Bhutale Svam Rupkadam Yam Dadati Svam Padantikam Vandeham Shigo Chiyuda Padkamam Shigom Vaishnavamsa Upam Jagajatam Sakanaragnatam Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sakalita Shivishakam Vitam Sa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jatpate Gopesha Gopakanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavana Sutadevi Panamama Haripriye Vanka Kalta Visha Kripan Sumbevisha Patiram Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yadvaita Gadada Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswata Devi Gaurvani Pacharini Nirvashesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desata Shila Prabhupada Ki. So, the sages of Namaisaranya, they showed great concern for the position, the fallen position of today's people. The sages asked 4 questions. First question is, what is the ultimate good for all people? Then they asked also, what's the essence of all the scriptures? Because people of this age don't have time to go to the scriptures. They don't have the intelligence to understand what's the purpose of the Vedas. They are sumanda. They are slow. They are misguided. Therefore, we need a method of self-realization which is easy. Yeah. Then the second 2 questions are also for the benefit of people, but they are also for the benefit of the devotees. They are inquiring about Lord Krishna and his incarnations, specifically his Purusha avatars. So the sages show great eagerness to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. We can hear here in the first verses how they are worshipping Sutta Goswami. They glorify the holy name, how powerful that even fear personified, runs away even if you unconsciously chant the holy names of Krishna. Thus they glorify the devotees. What is... So they are glorifying the devotees that they are glorifying the holy name, because what is more purifying than the Ganga? So the devotees are more purifying than the Ganga. Simply by their glance, even a moment of association can give us the desire to have Krishna. So this is the power of pure devotees. So we must worship the Guru. This is one of the main themes of this chapter also. How to reciprocate with the spiritual master, and how the spiritual master will reciprocate. That we will learn more about that in the second chapter. Also from the first 3 verses, there are some themes that we will go over them a little later. But in order to understand the Bhagavatam, we must take of Srila Sukadev Goswami, Sutta Goswami, and try to get the spirit that these sages have, their eagerness to hear. So the 5th question, according to the previous acharyas, is about the lila incarnations of Lord Krishna. Krishna performed such wonderful adventures. If you would make a movie of Krishna's life, then it would be extraordinary. As a young child, he lifted a mountain, and on his little finger then on his little finger of his left hand, he moved Govardhan. So who can do this? He married 16,108 wives. It's certainly unheard of in the history of the West. So this is Krishna. At the end of the 3rd chapter, it will say that these incarnations are just like the waves in the ocean. But Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We will hear much more of that in the 3rd chapter of this canto. Now we go to text 19. Vayam tuna vitripyama utamasloka vikrame yatshim vatan rasagyanam svadu svadu pade pade. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for the transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. So why were the sages not tired of hearing? First, their taste, and because they were under the internal potency of the Lord, the spiritual potency. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains the difference between the spiritual and mundane topics. There is a big difference. So we can hear in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he writes that mundane news is static, whereas transcendental news is dynamic, inasmuch as the spirit is dynamic and matter is static. Those who have developed a taste for understanding the transcendental subject matter are never tired of hearing such narrations. So we are getting tired. Why are we getting tired when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam? It's because we are dull-witted. Srila Prabhupada says, cow dung brains. Or we have other agendas, other priorities. We have a taste for bhavarag, enjoying dead things in this world. But due to anarthas, we have material attachment. And that's a problem. Vidura, he had the same eagerness. Vidura had the same eagerness as the sages. Maharaj Parikshita had the same eagerness also. So there's a difference between spiritual and material vibration. If we go to the fourth canto, chapter 30, 20, there it is said, Nafyaya Dritaya Hyo Brahmaita Brahmavadibi Namayanti Nashoshati Narishanti Ato Kataha. Always engaging in the activities of devotional service, devotees feel ever increasingly fresh and new in all their activities. The all-knower, the supreme, the super soul within the heart of the devotee makes everything increasingly fresh. So this is known as the Brahman position. It is a liberated state, the Brahma Buddha state, in which one is never bewildered. Nor does one lament or become unnecessarily jubilant. So this is due to the Brahma Buddha situation. So a devotee is inspired by the super soul within the heart to advance in devotional service in a variety of ways. The devotee does not feel hackneyed or stereotyped, nor does he feel that he is in a stagnant position. In the material world, if one engages in chanting a material name, he will feel tired after chanting a few times. However, one can chant the Hare Krishna mantra all day and night and never feel tired. As chanting is increased, it will come out new and fresh. Srila Jiva Goswami, he explains that the super soul is in everyone's heart, but in the devotee's heart he is revealing himself as ever increasingly new. Being inspired by him, the devotee experiences increased transcendental bliss in the execution of his devotional service. So this is what happens when we come in touch with the spiritual potency. If you are bored, it's stagnant, then you are spiritually sick. So yes, that Srila Prabhupada himself, he was an example of this. At 2 a.m. in the morning, he would wake up and start translating Srimad Bhagavatam. It was so exciting. It was so exciting to translate the books. He said, I'm eager to read them because I did not write them. Srila Prabhupada would get up at 2 a.m. He translated and he would chant his rounds. He went for a morning walk, constantly talking during the morning walk. Then he would give the class, Guru Puja, and give Srimad Bhagavatam class. And after breakfast, he would be constantly talking. This would be his time for management from 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. He would answer all these letters while still talking and chanting. After his rest, he would go out in the evening and preach. He would never be tired of chanting. He wrote in a letter of 1973, the instructions given in my books is my personal instruction. Read the books and you will find it. Let's see what Srila Prabhupada's instructions are in the purport. So he writes there. For example, anyone may read Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam repeatedly throughout his whole life and yet find in them new light of information. So, Srila Prabhupada wants us to read his books. We know that Krishna, when he was at the ashram of Sandipani Muni, Lord Krishna got a benediction that his words would always be fresh. So we have the words of Krishna, the activities of Krishna, and he got his Guru's blessings. Therefore, Krishna is ever fresh. Krishna's message is ever fresh. Now we have verse 20. Ketavan kila karmani saramena keshava. Ati martyani bhagavan kuta kapatama naksha. Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so masked, he performed many superhuman tasks, acts, many superhuman acts. So, this is what they want to hear about. They want to hear about Krishna and Balaram. In his purport, Srila Prabhupada is very heavy on imitation incarnations. In the second sentence, he writes that just the theory that a man becomes God by dint of penance and austerity is very, very much rampant nowadays, especially in India. Since Lord Ram, Lord Krishna, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were detected by the sages and saints to be the personality of Godhead, as indicated in the revealed scriptures, many unscrupulous men have created their own incarnations. So there is one incarnation, we won't mention any names, but on his deathbed, he was dying, and he said, I'm Ram, and they accepted that he is Ram. Krishna on his deathbed. That is how he became an incarnation. Srila Prabhupada writes further. This process of concocting an incarnation has become an ordinary business in Bengal. That any popular personality with few threads of mystic power will display some feat of chivalry and easily become an incarnation by popular vote. So it is mentioned in the 5th canto, the 8 mystic powers, and there are 10 more. 8 major and 10 minor are described in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But then if you read the 5th canto, there are 93 demoniac powers in the lower planets. There are 93 powers which Mayadhanava teaches, and he trains all demons up. This is also there. And Srila Prabhupada says that some of these so-called incarnations have these powers, and they misuse them. they use them according to their Guru Mayadanava. Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita was asking Krishna, please tell me about your universal form. Tell me about your divine qualities. He asked this because he wants to make a point about incarnations. Who is an incarnation? Now the sages are doing the same thing as Arjuna. You please tell us, give us a list of all your incarnations. They wanted to have it written down in the scriptures so that future generations can refer Srimad Bhagavatam and check the list. Are you on the list of incarnations? Is your name there? No, sorry, we don't accept. So this is the point. They are asking all this for the benefit of all people. Of course, they want also to hear about the incarnations. Arjuna also wanted to hear about the incarnations, so that he had something to think about. The sages also want to think about Krishna and his incarnations. They are happy to hear every little detail of Krishna's life and Krishna's incarnations. Here Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice example about this. Mothers, when they have a small child, small babies, they can talk for hours about their baby. They would say, yesterday my Nandan got his first tooth, and you know what he said? He said this. Prabhupada was going on like this. And he walks, and then the mother would say he walks like this. And he dropped his toy and he moved his hand like this. And they can go on for hours speaking about their kid. And then the friend is sitting there thinking, when is she going to stop? So the mother can do this because she has love for this child. Every little detail the child does, she's so attached. Every little detail of the incarnation of Krishna. How does he create? How does he appear as Nrsimha? They want to hear every detail. They are very attached and happy to hear every detail. And this will make them happy. They love Krishna. They have attachment for Krishna. They have attraction for Krishna. But how are the sages attached? We will hear in text 21. Kalim Magatamachyaya Kshetrasmin Vaishnave Vayam Ashina Triyasatrahena Katayam Saksana Hare. Knowing well that the age of Kali has already begun, we are assembled here in this holy place to hear to great length the transcendental message of Godhead. In this way perform sacrifice. So the 1,000-year sacrifice. Are we prepared to sit 1,000 years or even 3 hours? It is a very difficult task. They are going to perform a sacrifice for us, and we will get their remnants. What are these remnants? It's Srimad Bhagavatam, the essence, because we don't have much time. So we are near to the end of the purport that, let's see, it is said there. By the example of these sages, one should learn that regular hearing and recitation of the Bhagavatam is the only way for self-realization. So this is real life. If we hear the stories in the Srimad Bhagavatam, then we see the qualities of the devotees. We want to develop these qualities. Yes, I want to be like this. How do I become like this? Narada Muni's life is so wonderful because he got the lowest birth. He doesn't know who his father is. He has no idea who his father is. And he became such an elevated devotee, a Vaishnava. So there is hope for us. We can also become an elevated devotee. The second chapter, we will hear about the process, and then later on by the example of Narada Muni, it will be explained how it happens in real life. We heard in the third verse, Vibhata Bhagavatam Rasanalayam, that so that the sages are inviting us, drink this nectar. The sages are here. And we should understand the difference between the spiritual nectar and the mundane literature, or the mundane lectures, nectar. So there is a limit to how much we can drink in a material world. But we can drink Srimad Bhagavatam as much as we like, and we don't have to worry about overdoing it. And after we discuss, we drink, and we preach. So you have the last paragraph of the purport. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached this system of Bhagavad Dharma, and he recommended that all those who were born in India should take responsibility of broadcasting the message of Bhagavad Gita. And when one is well established in the teachings of the Bhagavatam, he can take up the study of Srimad Bhagavatam for further enlightenment in self-realization. So Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted us to preach. Srila Prabhupada tried in India to convince the people, and no one would listen. And then he went to preach in America and got some people. And then he went back to India and people started listening. So therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Yaradeke Tarikai Krishna Upadas Amara Agyana Guru Hanatara Edas. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Sri Krishna as they were given in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. So everyone you meet, you give them Krishna Upadesh, Krishna's instructions from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. So when you do this, then what is the benefit? Lord Chaitanya gives a benediction. What is that? Lord Chaitanya says in another place in Chaitanya Charitamrita, if you preach, you will never lose my association, or else I will meet you again one day. So this is the benediction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is another personal instruction by Srila Prabhupada. Personal instructions. The Kurma Brahman, he wanted to leave his family and travel with Lord Chaitanya. But Lord Chaitanya said, no, you stay with your family. And Yaradikatari Krishna Upadesh, wherever you meet, you tell about Lord Krishna. When you follow this instruction, then your family life at home will not disturb you. And at the end, we will meet again, and you will never lose my company. So we always quote the first verse, but the second is even better. This is the benediction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you preach my message, remain in your position, don't stay, don't change, stay in your position. So Srila Prabhupada quoted Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14:3. Everyone can preach whatever position you are in. So this is the base of Srila Prabhupada's movement. It didn't care what we were, who we were. He sent us out to preach. That was his mood. That was his mission. But the next verse will explain who is the captain of the ship. Text 22. Pana sandarshito datra dustaram nishitirshadam kalim sattva harim pumsam karnadara ivagnanam. We think that we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship for those who desire to cross the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about the people of this age, how busy they are. So we are going in the purport a few lines down that we have here. Out of madness, they frankly say that there is no need for self-realization, because they do not realize that this brief life is but a moment on our great journey towards self-realization. So how is this life just a brief moment? If you compare our life to the life of Brahma, how long is Lord Brahma's day? It's 1,000 Divya Yugas, that 1,000 Divya Yugas, that's 8,600,000,000 years, and that's only for 24 hours. He lives 1,000 years like that. 311 trillion years his lifetime. So compared to Lord Brahma, how long is our life? The next question is, next to Vishnu, how long is Lord Brahma's life? Lord Mahavishnu's breaths in and out, and Lord Brahma's life is finished. So one creation comes and gone. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that Lord Brahma's life is like a flash of lightning. When you are young, you think that I have a very long life. I don't have to worry. But actually, we have a very short life. Therefore, we have to use it for its proper purpose. Unfortunately, people do not believe in the next life. They don't see the need for self-realization. Srila Prabhupada quotes always this one professor in Russia, Professor Potovsky. He was telling him about reincarnation. Professor Potovsky replied Swamiji, after death, everything is finished. When I was preaching in Lviv, in the Ukraine a few years ago, the devotee was driving for me from the apartment where I was staying to the temple. And this devotee said to me, I'm the grandchild of Professor Potovsky from Moscow. So it seems Prabhupada gave some blessings there. Therefore, eat, drink, marry, and enjoy. Srila Prabhupada explains that the temporary civilization is taking shelter of so many things, other things than Krishna consciousness. In the purport further, continue. The whole system is geared towards sense gratification. And if a learned man thinks it over, he sees that the children of this age are being intentionally sent to the slaughterhouses of so-called education. So why is Srila Prabhupada condemning modern education as slaughterhouses? It's very heavy. In Shiel's Upanishad, it is said that this education is like a jewel on the head of a serpent. People think that they become educated and that education is a solution to their problems. But they are not taking the proper boat. The verse speaks about a proper boat to cross over the ocean of Kali. In modern civilization, they have so many proper boats with their use. So materialistic boats are science, technology, politics, new age, philosophies, atheism, sport, entertainment. They are some of the shelters that people find in Kali Yuga. So there is a song, anything other than Nityananda's lotus feet are false shelters. Srila Prabhupada has spoken about material science. It's like a post-dated check. Taking shelter of science is like trying to catch the tail of a dog. Later in Srimad Bhagavatam, he mentions that those who are taking shelter of modern politicians, they are boarding a stone boat, he said. The sages foresaw this, and they had a plan. They had a ship to give to the people. Srila Prabhupada, at the end of the purport, explains. He says, learned men therefore must be cautious of this age. And if they at all want to cross over the dangerous ocean of Kali, they must follow the footsteps of the sage of Namisaranya, accept Sri Sutta Goswami or his bona fide representatives as the captain of the ship. The ship is the message of Lord Sri Krishna, and the shape is of Bhagavad Gita, in the shape of Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. So by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, we are going on a ship, and the captain is the Guru who will guide us on his journey. Of course, after hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, we must also preach. Srila Prabhupada said, you can glorify your Guru, but real glorification is when you preach and face the opposition. This is what Srila Prabhupada wanted. To learn the philosophy and preach against all opposition. The last verse is the last question of the sages, the last verse of the chapter. Oi Yogeshvare Krishna Brahmanye Dharma Paramani Pankastam Adunopete Dharmakam Sharanam Gataha. Sri Krishna, the absolute truth, the master of all mystic power, has departed to his own abode. Please tell us whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. So the sages are feeling separation from Krishna. Krishna is gone. Where should we go for shelter? What should we do? They are feeling the oppressive influence of Kali. Kali appeared the very day that Lord Krishna left the planet, before he could not appear. We will hear later that Maharaj Parikshit because Maharaj Parikshit, he was a Mahabhagavat, representative of Krishna. He could control Kali, but then even Kali slipped in. So the sages were asking, where is our shelter now? Has Krishna left us unprotected in our attempt for spiritual life? This is the sixth and last question. The answer of this is in Srimad Bhagavatam at the end of the third canto, and this is the shelter of the age of Kali. 1343. Krishneshva Dhammopagate Dharma Jnanate Vissaham Dharma Kaulanastati Shammesha Puranako Dunotita. This Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen first after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali can get light from this Purana. So those who are very fortunate can see how Krishna has appeared in this in this age in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. That if you are interested in getting out of the darkness, you can get out by the light of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we have heard in this chapter different themes that we have heard how the sages were worshipping their goal. And in many verses, they express their eagerness to hear that. Also, Paradharma is another theme introduced in the first chapter already, that how the real Dharma is different from Kaitava Dharma. That Kaitama, at one side you have Kaitava Dharma, at the other side you have Paradharma. That so we have Paradharma will be explained in the second chapter 1 to 6. Savai Pamso Parodharma. Paradharma is described there. That and also will be further explained in the 5th chapter. And there be demonstrated by Narada Muni and his relationship with his guru, all these Bhaktivedantas, that we have heard also about the importance of chanting a holy name in this first chapter, the importance of association with devotees, and Krishna's reciprocation. We have heard how in the first verse Krishna is described as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that and we find it also very strong in the first 3 chapters. Of course, it has been introduced in the beginning with the first verse, that but the first chapter is like an introduction. And in the second chapter, the theme will be expanded. And there this, especially this Param Dharma, will be explained in verses 6, 10 to 10 in the next chapter, and that we will discuss next week. So that was the section of today. If everyone has any question, please.
Raj, nice question. One question, Maharaj, about the material way of life and spiritual way of life. Earlier in the lecture, you were explaining. Mostly, I'm grahasthas like me. They have to work in the material world, and then even if you want to spiritualize those things, it's not always possible. In that case, then what can we do?
Yeah, like yesterday I had a similar question here in Frederikston, that but and I gave the example, if you are going to the airport and you pick up your spiritual master and you are driving him. While you are driving, you have to give attention to the traffic rules, so many things. That, but do you forget that your spiritual master is in the back of the car? No. So while doing our work, we may have to concentrate on so many things, but our motive for doing it must be clear, must be to please Krishna. And we may forget him while doing it, that at least, but Yeah. It should always be there in our motive. I'm doing it for Krishna and I will give the result to Krishna. That and sometimes we forget Krishna. And you may experience sometimes when you forget Krishna during your work and you get a bit into materialistic doubts, that you get into difficulties. That's also Krishna who is reminding you. And it's an occasion to take shelter of Krishna. Because if we forget Krishna, material life becomes very difficult. That obstacles will be there. That's always there in materialistic life. But a devotee then takes shelter of Krishna. Yeah. Krishna says, yes, this material energy of me is Duratma. Mama Maya Durachaya. But it's very difficult to overcome. But one was surrendered unto me, can easily cross beyond it. So this begins with having our motivation right, why we do things. Then we may forget Krishna, but temporary. But if the motivation remains right, then it will be corrected in due course, and we will surely be able to remember Krishna. That does that help, Purnachanaka?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj, for a wonderful example driving the spiritual master. So, Maharaj, if it is okay, can I ask a following question?
Yeah, sure.
So, Maharaj, the point about material world being more difficult. So, how should we take it practically? Meaning, many times there are struggles where we need to put effort and time and energy, which can impact our devotional service, because more time is going to resolve that material issue. So should we try to do that, or should we just say, oh no, just leave on Krishna, let it happen, whatever happens, and I'll focus on my chanting or sadhana?
This was stressed by Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Maharaj, who said, we should act like everything depends upon us, while knowing that nothing depends on us. These are the instructions of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Maharaj. So we have to do our endeavor and use everything Krishna gave us, our intelligence, everything we have, to please him to the max. And then the result is up to Krishna. Then we accept the result. If we have really done our best, then we have acted with integrity. And whatever the result is, no reason to lament. We have done what we could. But we should always be aware that the result does not depend on us. Does that help, Purnachanaka? Does that make sense?
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, thank you. Oh, very nice, Maharaj. Also, one more question, Maharaj, if you allow.
Please.
Yeah. Maharaj, about the example what you gave, that the spiritual master is in the back seat and you're driving him. So, Maharaj, our day-to-day life, then practically how we will remind ourselves, because many times in my situation, I get overwhelmed, and then forget that, okay, like in your example, like forget that, oh, spiritual master is behind, in the car. So practically, like what should we follow, or what I should follow every day, so that it instills in me. Okay, I need to remember always.
Yeah, I would say every situation is different, but I would suggest try to use our intelligence to create situations to remember Krishna. When I remember, this is in the beginning of my Krishna consciousness, because I was an accountant. I was keeping accounts. And what I did was, I was keeping my accounts, but I had the Bhagavad Gita with me. And I was learning Sanskrit slokas. And while doing dull work, like putting in data in the computer from documents, I was repeating these verses. And by that you connect with Krishna. In moments you can hear lectures, you can hear kirtan on the background. Well, when possible, you are driving, you have pictures on your dashboard of Krishna. So you try to create a situation in which you can remember Krishna. We have to work, but like Mother Yasoda, it's Kartik soon, in the first verse of the Damodar Lila chapter, the Bhagavatam is mentioned how she was churning the butter, the milk into butter. And while doing that, she was reciting verses or describing Krishna's pastimes, so that she would remember Krishna during our work as much as possible. That when you are driving, we can hear lectures or we can hear kirtan. In meetings may not always be possible to directly remember Krishna. It depends what situation you are, but we can only do our best to add Krishna with our intelligence to our schedule and things that help us to remember Krishna. Also, when we have challenges in our work, pray to Krishna, please help me. I'm trying it to do for you. I will give the result to you. And that prayer connects us also during difficulties in our work. Certainly we can pray. Does that help, Jonathan?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you for giving those practical tips. So hopefully, and please bless me that I will try to follow them.
Yeah, we try all. We are in the same boat. We must try to remember Krishna always. Good. Thank you. There are no further questions. Then I look forward to see everyone next week. And then we will start the second chapter, which is an important chapter. But it's a summary of the Bhagavatam, practically, of all the principles of the Bhagavatam. It describes the process of devotional service, and it gives definitions and attitudes. We are very, very important. Srila Prabhupada quotes from the second chapter all over the Bhagavatam and also in Bhagavad Gita. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.